it up, Terry. You could even put it on back. What is you doing, Terry?
What are you doing, Terry?
You know, just
No, you know what I'm gonna do?
yeah.
Some kind of matrix thing. Because it is like, you take the blue pill today or the red pill today?
But you'd have to be worried about that's another monetized thing.
I'll figure it out. Anyways, we're starting. This is it. We're doing it. This is the thing. Welcome, everyone.
Work to get here. I want you to know he's worked really hard for this and he's pushed.
Hey, we both have. I mean, Jimmy, we have.
You were working
I just
harder than me.
we like something we talked about last night. This is just like I've just had this envision for this podcast, or now we have our podcast.
To be honest with you, I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for your gumption.
I appreciate that.
Because I've told a lot of people that I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do it with Dana, and I told
This
her
is fucking awesome. I'm already doing this. Just what was like talk. Anyways, guys, this
It's
based
surreal.
off like the people who voted, people who's gonna first start watching this episode. Y'all kind of got us to his name, so I thank y'all very much. Everyone who voted, it's official. This name of my podcast is Common Side Effects of Life.
And there are a lot of them.
And there are a lot, but they're not all bad. That's the whole point of like this. It's not all bad, and you know, there's love, there's happiness, there's joy, there's laughter, but there's also, you know, there's fear, there's anxiety, there's what else? What other negative?
The way that you were putting it into my mind, and one of the things that I wanted to put it as a podcast name, and I'm not sore or anything. I'm glad where we got is like it's a double-edged sword. There's multiple sides to different things. You know, you got your benefit, you got your negative. But to me personally, what I've been trying to do a lot lately is just be gracious. Understand that yes, there's bad stuff, and you're gonna feel bad for certain things, but there's always some way to turn it into a good.
Yeah, that's kind of like if I'm not Buddhist, you know, you all know I'm spiritual, but like I get a lot of my lessons or morals that I live my life by, you know, Buddhist teachings, and yin yang is, you know, the yin. I think this is right. Don't quote me on this. The yin is like the white side, so which is the good, and that little black dot inside of it is the bad within the good, and the yang is the black, all the badness. But inside all the badness, there's a little white dot, which is all the good, the little good that comes out of the back. So essentially, you could call that collateral beauty of everything. Anyways,
I haven't heard that before.
I want to introduce people, strangers. You won't know who this guy is. One of my best friends, friends of ours who know each other. Fucking everyone knows that this is James Keating. He
Family and your family.
he's family. Been best friends since. I mean,
Great.
we haven't been best friends forever, but
little
like
bit out of high
we've
school.
been friends since like high school. You know,
7 years is how long our friendship has been.
7 years.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. Because we're now closer to
I
8 or
remember
9.
meeting you at 15, and now like
Yeah, but we didn't hang out.
yeah, but still, I still count like that. That day, I was just like this. I was like, Steven, this dude's so fucking cool.
Yeah, we definitely knew each other for quite some time. We didn't actually start hanging out until I moved back and all.
Yes, and then eventually he became my roommate, which led us to becoming really good friends, and now best friends, and now we're brothers.
You may need to reword that. You became our roommate.
I became multiple roommates. I became their what's the name?
I'm gonna jab you. I'm gonna jab you.
No, I
He
became
was
the
couch surfing.
no. What's the word though? When someone's like staying in like a vagrant. I was being the vagrant on the couch.
I wouldn't call it that.
I was occupying their zone. Overtook the living room.
It was very pleasant, and I had a nice couch. And luckily, I had that couch. And I didn't have roommates like Ernie that would say, "Oh, it's your mom's couch." I don't care what it looks like; it's comfy. Anyways, the point of it is that he showed up and he asked for our help, and we said, "Fuck yeah, you know, we love you. You're a friend of ours." And it just turned out that he was in a bad position at the time. Apartment complex was just screwing him over badly, and he was trying to move in, but they just
It was a mess. But anyways, to continue introducing Jimmy, obviously, this is perfect. This is how this works. I mean, well, we're not influencers, we're not famous, we don't even have anything per se going for us, you know, fame-wise. Which is why later on we get to the topic of why, the what, the who, the why, the where, of the how we're doing this, why, the reason why we're starting this podcast. Anyways, to continue with introducing Jimmy, like, you guys clearly tell he's fucking one of the best people, you know. Best people ever.
a couple of episodes.
Yeah. So,
My humor.
who of it all is eventually? So it's me. Currently, this is after this lot of discussion, we decided.
Can I speak a little bit about you?
No, in a minute. But let me finish this. I'll explain myself first, then you can talk about me. So the who of it all is that it's me, Daniel Ceballos. Y'all know me. Well, people who are watching this, I'm assuming as of right now you know me. If you don't know me, Daniel Ceballos, I am 30. I am Colombian, Guatemalan, Spaniard. What else can I say? Born and raised in Houston, Texas, but I believe Colombia is my home away from home. I basically lived there 2 summers for 3 months, so I live there, right? You would say like when you live anywhere more than a month, you live there. Okay, well you can agree or disagree, but anyways, I think so. I have a bachelor's of science in manufacturing engineering with a concentration of mechanical systems and a minor in math. I currently work for the city of Austin. Yes, I'm the reason why I-35 is all fucked up. Y'all welcome. I mean, that's part of one of my jokes. Yeah. It really is because because people are like, it's like it's your fault. Everyone is like, hey, I work for the city of Austin. Like doing what? It's like, well, I'm a civil engineer. I work for this firm, and we're subcontracted, and I essentially like design all the traffic control plans for that's work being done on the roads. I have to close down the lanes.
But are you a part of the 35 movement?
I have done work on I-35.
What I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The big giant.
Not that. That's crazy. That's not subcontracted. That TxDOT itself. TxDOT meaning transportation. The TxDOT transportation of Texas Department of Transportation. Thank you. We're drinking too. Like fucking cheers, my bad. But
I'm far.
You're fine. You're fine. I'm talking a lot. What else can I say? Yeah, and you know, like if you would have asked me like fucking 15-year-old me, like this is what I was gonna be doing at 30, like I'd have been like, get the fuck out of here. No mames, no jodas, todo eso. Yeah, it's crazy. I wouldn't think I would have gotten here. And the what of it. So like, oh well, I'll continue. Like Jimmy, so the discussion to go further into that discussion we had last night is that we essentially are going to do 2 podcasts now. I have this one, which is going to be a lot. I'll go more into it in a minute. Jimmy is a potential co-host. He's the first guest, obviously. That's for many reasons why he's the first guest.
Can I say why we're having 2 now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that we live far apart from each other, and so I told him I was only going to be able to be here once a month, and he has stated before, has much more gumption and much more drive to make this something of a real thing. And I told him I could only be here once a month, and he's like, well, I kind of want to do more than that. And so for that to happen, I was being, maybe, I don't know if you would call it a little bit selfish, but I was trying to look out for my own self-interest in saying that if I want to do a podcast with someone, if I'm going to do something, that I wanted to have some say in it. And if you're going to go out and do, have other people and do it on your own thing, then maybe we should, I don't know how we came to this conclusion, but it was something along those lines.
It's more like, I just have such ambition for this, and I have my reasons why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And you wanted ours to be more like very relaxed with the flow, and like almost literally one of the potential names of the podcast was shooting the shit, which is by the way what it is. And this is more like in depth of serious. Like, I'll go into it more in a second. So yeah, potential first guest, but a potential co-host if this ends up taking off, and it'd be fucking amazing if it does. So to anyone watching right now, listening in, thank you very much for doing so. Really appreciate it. And hopefully, how we're doing it is like, as you can see, I'm kind of doing everything now. Like I have 2 cameras set up. I'm not a photographer per se. I would say an amateur photographer. So I have to do all this edit. I have to learn how to edit. You see, like our setup is not like, it's very rudimentary, but it works. We got it.
I'm not even on camera right now. I'm over there.
Can't even see where he's at. Like, fuck, it's all a mess. The video that we're recording might not even work, so you might just be here listening to us talk. Hopefully they can. So, and the where of it is, well, I'm gonna try. There's several locations. Like
this is funny.
Yeah. I'm gonna explain, then he can explain his thing because he was fucking dying earlier. Yeah. So right now we're in my apartment co-workspace. So anyone's allowed to use this for like remote work, or just literally there's a coffee machine here. People just come in and get coffee and stuff. And so right now we're testing this area out because I cannot do it in my apartment due to my noisy ass neighbors, which some of y'all are aware of.
He's not wrong.
Or if you're not aware of, I can tell you. It's freaking like it's almost like they're running marathons up there. Like
upstairs neighbors.
But this is what Jimmy is arguing like this place. You can go ahead and tell him like what you find it so funny.
So when he had mentioned to me that he wanted to be here, and it's a clubhouse, so they have two clubhouses, which you have access, remote access via key fob. And we walked in here, and what I assumed is they have two tiny rooms where you can kind of be away from people, right? It's like a little. Imagine if you're in your college and they have those little like cubicle types thing. It's like that, but it's not as big. It doesn't necessarily comfortably fit two people. So I was a little bit curious as we walked over here. But then when we walked over here, he goes, "Oh, it's going to be in the big one." And I was like, "What if people walk in here? It's a public area. There's coffee, there's ice, there's all this different stuff." I think part of it to me was I was just being a cynic. I was thinking, what could go wrong? What is wrong with what's going to happen here? My thought was there was going to be people that came in here and used it, and it's kind of rude to like not. Anyways, the point of it is we come in here and we start setting stuff up, and we're getting close to the part in which we're about to start filming, and this couple comes in and they start brewing tea, and so it's pretty common. But then he sets his cup down on the table, and I'm like, oh, this guy's not.
Like, well, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
I'm like,
this guy's not
please.
leaving, and he starts talking.
Like, of all days, like, it's a Saturday. Why are people? There's not a fucking barista or Starbucks. Like, this isn't a coffee shop on South Congress in Austin. By the way, we're filming out of Austin. I didn't mention that too.
Mhm.
I'm,
We can get.
we're amateur. Like, this is all new to us. We're film.
So let me get back to
Yeah.
is that so he sets his cup down. I'm talking to the couple, and he has to go run back to grab some things. So we got some time, but I'm just sitting there cracking up the entire time. I do the little eye thing where I look at them and I look
Yeah,
back
he's
at
giving me that little
Danny,
smirk.
and I'm like, "Hey, look at that! Look, see, I told you, people are in here." And then on top of
It's
that,
not the first time he's been right about something. Well, literally last night he was just like, "Fucking told you about that girl, dude. Told you about that girl."
That's a whole nother stuff.
But still, Jimmy's right about a lot of things. He's the one person that like I can't be wrong. Like he calls me out being wrong. I'm not really. I mean, it's not a good thing to say. I'm not saying this as a like a brag or anything, but like I know how smart I am, and I usually am not wrong about things. And whenever I'm wrong, I'm like, "Fuck, I'm wrong."
No, like I was saying to the point earlier, is I'm a cynic. I bring out things that can be a negative. And kind of the same thing. Well, I don't know how much you want to talk about this, but with Timothy, I was like, "Oh, what if something breaks?"
Well, I mean, first of all, let's not mention names just yet, and because unless it's like positive. Because,
cut it. What time
No,
is
no,
it?
yeah, cut it. We'll cut that part right there. But
Just check the time,
yeah. So, no, that's right. Let me do that.
and I can write a note. You want me to write notes?
That was hilarious. Oh, that's like your mama's house.
That could be a clip.
I love big boys pants. Like, why we're talking about something serious and you're like,
Okay, what's the time?
it was close to 15 minutes.
Okay. Anyways, so
Wait,
Like
real
I was
quick, real quick.
Yeah.
Like, they can sue us for like
Yeah.
crap.
okay, so
The next topic is gonna be the why, and so after you're done finishing your thing, I'm gonna bring it to the why.
remember what we're talking about? I was being a cynic. I'm a cynic.
Yeah, 7
And you were talking about
Yeah. But you can start talking now. You can just go back to
So just getting back to it, is that the couple came in, they sat down, they had some tea, and I was just laughing at him because he told me, he said he didn't want to have the podcast in his room because the neighbors were going to be running, and I was just like, yeah, but you're going to have people coming in and out of this clubhouse. Granted, I am semi wrong in this way, given the fact that nobody's come in since we started. So he is right, and I am wrong. I just laughed at the fact that there is a possibility in which someone can come in, and there was a lady that came in, and she was like slamming the door and like doing all this different
Yeah.
stuff.
almost everyone came out just like 3 people came in. I'm just like, really? Like that many people are gonna come in right now? Like, oh, whatever.
To your credit, which in a part in which you are right, have they since?
Yeah,
Since
yeah.
it
Since
started?
then, no.
No.
It just happened to be like, yeah. It was just. I think it was the time of the day. Like it was 5, and people wanted to like get. I mean, I don't know if people. If y'all get coffee at like 5, I'm Colombian, so I love to drink coffee at fucking 9 o'clock sometimes. And but I mean, especially like if I get coffee in the afternoon, it's around 5 or a little before 5.
Okay, so what's next?
The next topic is why. So this is the big part of what I want to go really in depth with, like why I'm doing this podcast. So, I
Are you about to go for a long time?
yeah, you can go ahead. Yeah, he's gonna be back. Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I wanted to do this. I mean, for my friends who know me, they know like they tell me how smart I am. Like they're like, God, you love explaining stuff. and you're just so intelligent. I really don't know where it comes from. I feel like my whole family is really smart. Like everyone, my dad is. I looked up to my dad a lot. Currently, one of like the head honchos at Texas Children's Hospital in Houston. My uncle is like runs a successful business in New Orleans, owning all and renting out all these apartments and properties to lower income families. One of my cousins, he is uh an entrepreneur, and he does like he's an investor. He owns all these like really high end hotels in New Orleans. My sister herself is fucking. Oh, that fucking feels good. It's fucking hot in here. My sister herself, she's even smaller. Like she's doing her own thing. Like she's trying to be a dancer. She's done like DJs for music videos with some DJs. My mom's fucking like kick ass boss ass woman. Like she didn't really. I think she even graduated from high school, and she like became an accountant. Is the whole family's accountant. She all this stuff. Anyways, going a little off topic, and the fact that like I'm doing this because one of two reasons. One, I want to have engaging, thought-provoking conversation with people, and I know I'm the type of person that like I can respect other people's opinions and views on things. So with that,
It can be a little hard.
I guess, but I love exploring people's different perspectives. I want to bring like I want to make it funny, witty, and like go really in depth with like various topics. It doesn't be always serious. Like we can literally, if you guys see like if the video's not if you're on video and it's recording, you can see like I have 3 books right now. I have these dad jokes, which is that I'm trying to. I'm also trying to do like amateur stand up, and like this is like a catalyst to like or stepping stone to help me like become a comedian, and it'd be fucking amazing if like somehow this like can be an outlet to like I can plug in after a show if I do well enough and people find it funny. Like, please follow me. I have the social media page, and then I have this podcast that you also listen into. And this dad joke was just like there's no instruction manual on like how to be a comedian. Would you agree? Like, there's no book out there. I've yet to find one. I'm taking notes just watching comedian and specials.
There's 100% a book out
There probably is, but I was at Goodwill, found this book. I was like, I can at least find the basic amount of funny, which is dad jokes.
So you're saying that you're trying to learn from that book the simplest way of being funny.
Yes. And then another one is like fucking Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights books. By the way, it's not a sponsor. I know I'm like plugging this in, but like, by the way, like so far I'm already on chapter like 2, but it's already like, damn man, like Matthew McConaughey knows what's up.
I watch it to put myself to sleep. And I say, all right, all right, all right.
All right, all right, all right.
My day's been done, and this is about all I can do for today.
Like sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward. And then the next one is this is just
that little list.
It's just a poem book, and like which is what the rest of the why of it is. The goal is to create like a space for discussion. We can tell stories, personal, life changes that happen that you're doing, and connecting with an audience, like with y'all, as well as eventually a lot of my first guests will be just friends, families, but I would like to have strangers on, which goes to the point of like the reason why I'm doing this is, by the way, this is a great. He's a poet, Robert M. Drake, of our modern poet, and this thing is like I went through a breakup, and I saw this book and I read it, and I was just like not all of it yet, but like a lot of it's like fucking amazing.
I didn't know
To
that.
give you, yeah, it's kind of help like give you a little poem. Let's see. Let me find one that was really good that I loved.
Do you highlight your stuff?
No, I just kind of know I know the title. Let's see.
While you're looking, I will say this is that this guy has been on a pretty good.
No, go ahead.
Is that he's been on a pretty good and healthy journey as to find out why and how he thinks the way that he thinks, especially when it comes to turmoil or anything. He's just very adamant about figuring it out. A lot of people want to know why, but they don't have, like I've been mentioning, the gumption to actually go out and do the research and look it up.
I mean, the other thing is just change is hard. Like we all like people. We have that saying that people don't change, but then there's the exact same saying people do change.
Or like old dogs don't learn.
Yeah,
new
old dog.
tricks.
Yeah, old dogs can't learn the tricks. We are a paradox.
Can I say a little?
I'm starting to realize that. Yeah. What? Go ahead.
Is I think it's Mark Norman or Sam Morrow, but one of them goes, "Old dogs don't learn new tricks." And they were like, but they were talking about a grandma that was like a Nazi, and she
What?
was like,
Nazi.
"Oh, you need to be," yeah, exactly. And he was like, "Yeah, but I taught my
You do
German
want-
Shepherd not to say slurs about Jews." I don't know. It's not as funny, but you see what I'm saying? It's a German Shepherd. I don't know. We can cut that.
No, that was funny. I mean, I get you don't remember the joke exactly, but like it's that. Anyways, this is one of my favorite poems in it. But it's on the fly. But give me a second. All right, this one's called from Robert M. Drake, called "The Time." It's 1 a.m. now, and this is the time it usually begins to hurt. The time I begin to feel it most. This is the time it all reverts from the beginning, from the moment I met you to the moment I last saw you. It hurts, and it feels like my life is slowly walking out of my body, as if my breathing is slowly departing from me. It's 2 a.m. now, and I was feeling before has now settled in. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it beneath my skin, beneath my chest, filling my heart with emptiness, with numbness. At this point, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It becomes something else, something I can't put into words. Flashback flash, memories fade in and out. The playback, the reversal of time, of you, all in my head, all within my reach. I close my eyes, and the shore washes my regret, what I should have done instead of what has been done. The sorrow follows like a cloud pouring and pouring and pouring. It's over. It really is. I never thought it would happen, but it did. Something always told me to keep my guard up, to get close, but also keep my distance, to look out for myself more than anything else. But I didn't. I never have, and now, in conclusion, here I am, a broken man, a broken lover, searching for whatever is left of me, for whatever is left of us. It stops. It ends, as all good things do, and the pain is continuous. But every so often, I get a good night in between. It hurts, as I mentioned, and my soul has become a hallway, a haven for all lonely things. You are all safe here. You are all loved here. It's 3 a.m. now, and I laugh and I inhale a little more. And as the seconds fly by me, I think I'm falling apart. Holding on is a motherfucker.
Isn't it strange? What I heard from that was multiple things. Isn't it strange that when you break up with someone, even if you break up with someone and you know it's the best for you, and you can outright prove that it was them being the bad person, that you still feel like somehow you could have done better?
I felt that way with Ali. I'll censor out that name. Just censor that name. I'll just censor that. I'll be like, beep.
Which, oh yeah, that's a simple.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Let's think about that. Anyways, but this is what I'm saying is that, like, I mean, I've been in a lot of abusive relationships. I don't necessarily want to call them abusive. They were abusing their ability to hurt me. How about that? And every single time, I'm always thinking, like, what the fuck did I do? How do I become a better person? How do I not let this happen to me again? Which is a positive way of thinking about it, but at the same time, it's really just I need to be like, no, fuck that person.
But no, don't say fuck that person. I mean, like, they're like that. Those are toxic, negative, bad people in your life, right? Like, but you know, you have
There are bad people out there, and you can say fuck them. That's okay.
you can learn from like things like that.
Well, you can say fuck this. Also learn from it. That doesn't mean you can't say fuck it. I don't know. You convince me.
It's like what I'm saying is like
you can say fuck a Lego on the ground that you stepped on. Fuck that. No, you love Legos. You want Legos to be out there, right? But you have to learn from that lesson of, like, watch where you step and everything like that. But fuck that instance.
That's true.
Fuck that
Yeah, you're right. But like, then the journey wouldn't have been worth it. You know where you are now. You get it? Like, imagine like it's almost like a butterfly effect. Like, if you didn't have that bad girlfriend and this other bad girlfriend,
you wouldn't learn from
you wouldn't learn, and you wouldn't learn, and you wouldn't learn, and then when you finally, like, sound like an orgasm in my ears. Like, why does that sound so fucking sexy?
Because there's two things from it.
Okay, anyways, that was a little perverted. Sorry, guys.
Oh, I do want to explain this. There's two things from it. It's that one is that anytime you open a can, whether it be a soda or a Topo Chico or something, it's refreshing. It's
almost like ASMR.
Yeah. But it's better than that because you relate it to a feeling, an action, a thing.
Yeah. You do. Anyways, getting back to no, you're fine. I love that we got a little sidetracked, but I just wanted to mention that the reason why I wrote that is because, like, this podcast is meant to be like a candid, very candid space of like blunt, hard truths. And sometimes it's gonna sound like with the person I'm having, who I'm guess who the guest is, it's like it's gonna be a very hard conversation to have because like it could be where like people may get upset and be like, I can't believe you think this way. I'm leaving, and they just walk out the podcast.
So that's the whole reason for the title, right? That's why you name it Common Side
Yeah,
Effects of Life.
because
There's gonna be stuff that is nasty, it's gruely, it's difficult to get to, but that's part of what life is. And
yeah,
if you're not willing to sit down and analyze it, then you're just gonna go through life as a sheep and blind and just say,
exactly.
and it's not gonna make any sense to you. And I think what you're trying to do with this podcast is to make sense of life, or at least to take, like, I was mentioning before, and what you said is just be grateful for.
A lot of things.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, or like to change your perspective on life because we like our society nowadays is also like very high in like comparing our lives, our separate lives to other people's lives. Like social media, just like all about like, wow, this person's always going to Belize, they're going to Mexico, they're going to fucking Europe. And it's like me, I'm fucking working a 9 to 5 and like I've only like got this going of my life, but like they got all this. Like we are everything we do, especially our generations, like it's just so crazy the life we're all living, the times we're living. Like the present, I mean the president that's currently running the nation is just like that whole thing is freaking insane. Like it's almost like, are we living in a Black Mirror episode? Like, what is happening?
It's like Idiocracy, the movie Idiocracy. It's like, how did we get it?
We're getting there. It's just like, oh, haha, that was so funny. And then we're like, oh, fuck. Like, wait. Oh.
Before I forget, I do want to say something. Thing is what you were saying before is that everybody's worried about what other people are talking about. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier at lunch is, you're letting your ego drive you. And it's not about whether or not someone else values what you have in whatever. I think we're trying to start to hone in on what actually matters, and what actually matters is what value is, meaning to yourself and not to others.
No.
And,
No. I didn't mean to say no. I meant to say I agree.
Into helping you get to that point of, maybe we can't figure it out for you. Maybe we don't have the solution for you, but maybe we can try and guide you in the right direction of telling you, hey, this is my experience and this is what I'm doing and it's working for me, and this is what's working for me is not working for him. What's working for him is not working for me. But we're just talking about these things because we're trying. And one thing that he's helped me too is just trying to be healthier, whether it be physically, mentally. We're just talking about these things because we're hoping that you're going to be able to pick up on it in some way, and it'll, maybe we're not. This is a little bit deep, but maybe we take it away and we're funny some ways, and then you just have a laugh, and then that'll give you some sort of a relief and stuff like that.
What I mean, it's literally like laugh at your pain. Find the funny in the suffering.
We're gonna be on. I don't know how you want to feel about your podcast, but I'm pretty sure that this is how you have the sentiment, is that it's gonna be a spectrum. It's gonna be, there's funny, there's lightheartedness, there's deep. I want to talk about me. I want to talk about life.
Yeah, laugh and lies and late nights. That was not a working title.
Keep going.
But yeah, and no, you're so right, Jamie. That's really like what I read this other book, and I don't want to talk too much about it because I want that to be like a whole other episode with someone who else has read that book.
Yeah.
The Mark Manson, the sort of art of not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
You've heard of it, but you haven't read it, right? It's fucking amazing. I have my own notes for it, and like that's one of the main lessons he teaches. It's not about the lesson is not about not learning to give a fuck. It's learning about to give a fuck about the right things, meaning choosing the right values.
And so that actually kind of goes back to what you were talking about before with Zen and Buddhism and Taoism and things of that nature, is that trying not to care is you then caring. You cannot try not to care. You just have to let it be. Just let go and don't worry. Once you start worrying, that creates an issue that was never there to begin with. And so that's kind of like, not giving a fuck. Just like, who cares?
Yeah, like you don't want to be that way either.
Yeah.
But like again, what was Jamie saying? We're not like sociology majors or even like
I'm a
therapist or
philosophy minor.
Philosophizer.
So that's gonna be my podcast. I actually came up with it this morning.
Yeah, fucking good name too.
That
was a good name.
Should I explain?
I'll be plugging at the end.
Well, no. I just meant like, do I need to explain how I came up with it, or are we going to do that in mine?
We'll plug at yeah, plug that. Plug that at the
All
end.
right, but
I won't
yeah.
remember. I won't keep it. So what's the word though? I forgot the title again. Philosophizers.
I find it stupid and dumb.
It's funny but silly. It's witty but funny, but also kind of.
The point of it is that the message is we are going to be talking about serious stuff, but at the same time, most likely for me at least, I'm going to be having some drinks.
Jimmy totally gets it. Like, and that's literally this whole time has been the why of it all. That's kind of it's a whole spectrum of things.
Can I say this is that the reason why I wanted to do a podcast and that I think it was a catalyst for myself, I've always wanted to do it. I've always said I'm going to do it. He then said, let's do it. But I live out on a ranch an hour away from here, and I'm away from my friends. And I think for me, what I told myself to convince myself was I said, can we cuss?
Yeah, I think cussing.
I'm fucking lonely, you know? I need to see my friends. I need to see my friends. I need to hang out with them. And I said, whatever gets me out of this damn house, whatever gets me off this ranch to go be able to talk to him. And so I said, yeah, if you do a podcast, I'll pitch in, I'll pay whatever. He ends up buying all of his own stuff. That's a long story. But the point of it is we're both very alike when it comes to how we think. And we're both logical individuals into the point where if you say something I don't like, I'm not going to get upset and just storm out, but I will have a strong discussion with you. And there has been moments where it's been like, okay, we have to disagree to agree or agree to disagree. We just have to stop. Like, you don't see it the way I see it.
Yeah, we literally had that. That's last night. We're like, we have to just do this.
We're going to have to end this conversation because it makes no sense. It's not going anywhere.
But I will say, like, that's why I love talking these things, especially with Jimmy. That's why eventually I wanted to be the co-host, because we're able to like get to like a point where we're just like we're not agreeing on anything. Some people like will argue and then just be like, "Well, fuck you then."
Sorry, like, just don't agree with me.
But like really like
saying,
but like really get mad, like be like,
and they'll stop talking
and just be like, "We're done." Like I can't believe you think this way.
Like the you mentioned before. Yeah. So I do want to say one thing just to give a little bit of context is and Danny kind of went about who he is, and I want to explain a little bit about who I am. Just because he said that his family is very intelligent, well, I would say likewise. I think we both had similar upbringing. I have a very large family. They're all super intelligent. And so I think that's part of the reason why we get along so well and that we can have these conversations, because we've been in a big group setting in which we'd have to have our say, and we make it to where we can say what we want to say. But at the same time, if it's just not getting through, it's just like,
I mean, well, that's good that you're able to do that with your family. I wasn't. I
start speaking up.
I know. I was letting you speak. That was good.
No. I meant with your family. Why don't you do that? I don't know if you want to talk.
No, like that's like, well, this whole like there's so much to like unpack and wrap out in this podcast. Eventually, I'll probably mention it several times over like the course of how long this podcast is going. Hopefully, like I said, this takes off. That's part of like my trauma, you know, like being the middle child. The other day, I was like just watching. It's like, there's no matter what, there's always negatives of like anything. Like if you're the firstborn, the middle child, the baby, there's also positives, but like I feel like I got a lot of the negatives being the middle child.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Do you know anything about like being a middle child?
Yeah. My sister, she struggled real hard.
It's like one of the things is like the middle child doesn't get as much attention as the first, especially when you only have three. Like, and the baby.
I was the baby. I got babied, and they were jealous of me. And then the adult has to. They get they're the first baby,
Yeah.
Right? But then the adult has to burden as the parent essentially for the children when the parents aren't looking. They feel like they have the burden of I need to pay attention to these kids, so they get burdened with that. And then the middle child is kind of just in limbo,
I mean, for me, it's a lot of things. Like especially being Hispanic, we have like Hispanic presidents. Yeah. Like my sister being a woman or a girl growing up, like it's like she gets a quinceañera. She has to be more like cautious about the world because she's a girl, as well as a Latina woman. She has almost like this, not even a gender role, just like a role to play in like in the family, and then her future family in her life, and then me being the first boy and also the middle child, it was more like
Take care of.
no, like I feel like they can be kind of with Hispanic families, they can be lax with the boys. You know,
Right,
you
right.
get I get
Yeah,
that. Like, I feel like they can't be, but they also expect boys to be like
take
uh
care of things.
yeah, take care of things.
Yeah.
Like I'd always have to be the one. Why can't Eric help me? My little brother help me.
But your brother wasn't.
He was baby. My brother was baby.
It wasn't like that.
Yeah,
In
like
in
he
early
was
life.
really baby. I believe so. I mean, this is just my perspective. I feel like he was really.
Well, I was babied, but it was also like anytime there's anything to do, it was like go do that,
Yeah,
and I did it. And anyways,
yeah. But that's just like. Anyways, the point of that is like, there's way more. Like
to be humble there. Yeah.
there is. I mentioned. I didn't mention this with the Who, but I am also. Uh, I've been diagnosed as bipolar 2, so I struggle with that. I took medication when I first got diagnosed, and no longer am on medication. I've been on medication for about 5 years now. 2020 is when I stopped because,
I didn't.
well, I don't tell people. It's
I
not
know.
something people know.
No,
But like,
we've had long talks at night.
yeah,
You've told me that you were
but I
bipolar.
don't think I've ever actually told you the reason why I stopped taking medication though. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
or if I took medication or anything,
yeah, yeah.
is that like
Exactly.
during COVID, my grandfather passed away. He was one of my favorite people in the world. And, I was on medication at the time, and it wasn't because of COVID. He's all like for like years, every summer, almost like like a like a planned time. Yeah, I'll take a piss. You can say it too. Grandfather always been in the hospital because he had always these health issues. It's because he was a big smoker and he used to drink and all these things. And whenever he passed away, I don't know if it was the medication or like because like I said goodbye so many times, but especially the very last time, like I really like he left me with these three like heartfelt messages. The last time he was really sane, he was just like, find someone you love and don't ever like let go of them. To like keep doing what you're doing. Like I'm so proud that where you're going and what you could accomplish in life. And the third was just like, don't change. Don't ever change who you are. I mean, my grandpa's eyes, I feel like, especially me, I could never do wrong. I know I was like my grandpa's favorite. I think I was. I love my grandpa. He was my favorite person. And yeah, what else can I say? Oh yeah, so with that, what can I say? What can I say? What can I say? Well, man, for honestly, Jimmy's distracted me. He was fucking.
I am.
No, that's good though. You need it. You need a context. I need that. I mean, hopefully, we're gonna do like a little mock photo real quick after we end this too, because I want like a little post. There's some other thing we gotta do.
Fucking shit that we haven't even thought about.
Fish. I'm almost done with what I was gonna say. So when my grandfather passed away, I couldn't feel his death. I didn't. Like I don't know if it's because I only blame on the medication, and like I felt almost numb to it. Like I was just like, oh, he died.
But you didn't.
Okay.
You couldn't grieve.
I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
Like the medication, like it like stunts emotion.
Yeah.
You know.
I've heard that. It's like you're numb.
Yeah. So like
I've heard that.
especially when my grandfather passed away, I was just like, I can't do that. I'm not gonna not.
It's not healthy. Yeah.
And
Even though all the feelings subside.
so like it's hard being unmedicated, but I do a lot of self care, like Jimmy was saying earlier.
As
I try to I try to eat very healthy, live a very healthy life, be active. I go to gym almost like every weekday. I do yoga. What else do I do?
He reads.
I read, like reading, even like reading and like working on yourself and trying to like be productive in anything when it comes to reading, drawing, playing like a music instrument, anything that you can just like almost distract your mind with because
It's not distraction. It's work.
well, not a distraction.
It's an
well,
exercise.
It's you can say it that distraction or exercise,
but it's exercise for your brain. That's what you're
because
doing.
like as a bipolar, I don't know if anyone who relates who's listening or watching that it is you have I believe what's called feedback loops. So you literally have thoughts about your thoughts.
may be
thoughts
bipolar.
and thoughts. I mean, you've said that before,
Yeah.
like it is. It's fucking. It's not a good feeling to like have these thoughts about your thoughts. It is. It can drive you like insane almost. I'm just like, what am I thinking?
I do think that a lot of people have this, but I think that they're more able to recognize it and stop it in its tracks. I hear what you're saying, and for me, and that's part of the reason why I have trouble going to sleep. And actually, I found it. Can I say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to think that this was Mark Norman's joke where he was like, I don't know how people just go to sleep. I have to pass out to go to sleep. I just have this constant, circus in my head. Da, 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 da. And then I thought that was it. But then he had Doug Stanhope on his podcast the other day, and Doug Stanhope talked about that exact same joke. And I was like, did he steal that from Mark? And then I looked up in 1980s or 90s or whatever it was. Doug Stanhope with Mitch Hedberg had said this joke a long time ago. Maybe it was, how some things are like subconscious and then you accidentally. There's a little bit of echo. Can you hear that?
Yeah, and I don't know what that is.
Anyways, so and so I think either that sounds good. I think either Mark Norman subconsciously did it or actually did. No, you changed it. Now it's going back. There you go. There you go. Leave it there. Leave it there.
Yeah, Mark did it.
Okay.
Remember, this is all freaking new to us, rudimentary setup. But it's fine. Fine. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, I thought you were talking to me.
No. I like what you were saying. Keep going.
That's all I was saying is that I think Mark Norman accidentally stole a joke. Accidentally, yep. He's a pretty smart individual and can come up with jokes just like that. So in my mind, what I was thinking is that this has to be accidental because he's not I call him a hack, but he's not a hack. He's a very clever individual and he has his own jokes.
Which is, I believe, why like all comedians are kind of smart. They're smart. They know what they're talking about and what they're doing. But
like the biggest scandal in the comedian world was Carlos Mencia.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Freaking Joe Rogan got on the stage and I was just like, "Hey, I've heard this joke from this and this and this." It's like you're talking from people I.
And so Bobby Lee actually talks about this because Bobby Lee, one of his, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard of it as of late, is that he's very good friends with Carlos Mencia. And so he was put in a spot in between him and Joe Rogan where he was like, you just stole his joke. And Bobby Lee was like, no, whatever. Only because I think at the time Carlos was big and Bobby wasn't. And he was like, no, you just stole his joke. And Bobby's like, well, I mean, I kind of said it like that, and that is what I said. And then Carlos was like, no, anybody can say that.
But that's how that business works sometimes, though. So like, cause like that's not just in comedy; it's also in like in music. Whenever Drake didn't really discover The Weeknd, I don't know if you hear the story. So Drake, like, his manager was just like, "Yo, there's this new artist on YouTube. Like, you have to listen to him." Drake's like, "I don't know." And then like, then he got pushed by his manager to listen to him. And he's like, "Oh shit, sign him to XO."
I think he
posted
it on a social media thing, and he was like, check out this guy, and then that's how he got his big break.
And then essentially Take Care came out, and a lot of it was The Weeknd stuff.
Yeah, so
literally the song Crew Love, like there's a version of The Weeknd, and Drake was like, I want that, give me that. And not only him, there's also Rihanna, like when she got SZA on, she took, I don't know what song it is, but she took a song from SZA too.
And I hear about this.
That's a lot. That happens in the music industry.
It's different in the music industry because there are some people that give people their kudos and they build them up just so they can take a song or do this thing. That's kind of like the way.
Yeah, that's just how it works. And that's comedian too.
In comedy, what happens is, and I've heard this before, I've even heard someone's bit about it, is they brought someone on as like a what are they called?
A guest?
Opener.
Opener. Okay.
And so they brought an opener on and they go, I'm going to take that bit. And they go, don't take my bit. You can't take my bit. He goes, I'm about to headline at its arena. I'm going to take that bit. Nobody's even going to know you. And it was a joke, and they were saying it jokingly, but it is true. I mean, like if you see an opener at a fucking Buzzmelt that we're going to go to, or where we're going to go to, I don't know if you've decided, but you take that bit, and if you're famous already, you can take that bit and run with it. I don't like that. I think you should create your own shit, and it should be tethered to who you are as a character, and it should be genuine. But that is the truth and the reality.
Yeah. Man, a lot to unpack there.
So what you got?
What else? I don't know, man. Now just like
shoot the shit.
I mean, in a sense, like we can talk about.
Let me do my hippopotamus bit. So, as we mentioned before, we were talking about doing the podcast inside his apartment. And I said, I'd much rather be in your apartment with a hippopotamus upstairs, fucking jumping around and bouncing around. I mean, it literally sounds, if you can imagine this, you know the little kids' bikes that don't have pedals and that just have two wheels and they run with the bike? It sounds like there's a kid upstairs on one of those bikes running through the apartment. And then all of a sudden, 2 seconds. It's really distraction.
I don't know why I don't get that. By the way, get the mic a little bit closer. It's not. You're not.
Am I
It's being a little too quiet for you.
Tom's mom?
Yeah, Tom.
Mic closer to your mouth.
Put the mic closer to your mouth.
Why do you keep touching?
Yeah, it's been a whole deal with that. Like, I mean, I feel like everyone who's lived in an apartment knows, especially when they live underneath someone, that it can be a lot.
I've lived in multiple
Like,
apartments.
This is the first time I've ever had terrible like neighbors.
No,
Like,
and it's not, when we're saying this, I am not exaggerating. It is the worst upstairs apartment I've ever experienced in my life. It is just genuinely, it's almost baffling. I almost want to go up there and ask them, hey, what are you guys doing? Like, how is it possible that you're making this amount of noise? Granted, they probably have a toddler, and I think that toddler, but even then, even when I don't hear the toddler, I hear,
they can be still stompy. But like, yeah, like my dad said, it's just like if you have a kid in an apartment, especially, like you need to just like live on the first floor.
so how about this?
Because their excuse was literally like, I'm not gonna tell my kid not to run around. It's like, and you're
True.
being super disrespectful though.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this apartment super like the fact that they do it all day, just like so you just keep your kid cooped up, like
Oh, yeah.
in a sense, it's like there's a playground. They have a little playgrounds here.
That was a
No?
point on your end, is that it's like,
There's a clubhouse they can just like have the kid run around.
go take your kid somewhere.
Somewhere.
Go hiking. We're in Austin.
Yeah, like your kid's always just cooped up in your house, just running around. Like
Martin
Jesus,
Springs, you know, you have McKinney Falls, you have all these different
this is
tourist
Austin.
places.
Like there's so much to do in
Yeah.
Austin. Like God, the dream is.
That's one thing about Abel's family that, and I want to go off on a tangent here a little bit, is that some of the times when I talk about my depression and like how I, you know, whatever, one of the thoughts that I had to them, that I don't remember, I think I was talking to Harris, which is his brother, and I essentially said, Harris, you just don't know. You don't know what it's like to live in the world that I live in. You know, some people just are oblivious. And he goes, come on, man, I can sympathize. I go, you have a mom and a dad who were together their whole life, are still together, healthy, good people. They bought a house, then they bought a second house, broke down the fence behind the house, and created a motorcycle track at the back. That's where I learned to ride my motorcycle.
The place I went to when we
watched. No, you've never been there.
Yeah.
So, and then they moved from there to build that place. He's an architect who he's a civil architect, I think. I don't know what the actual terminology is, but he built that house that they live in, and they built the house with him. So they all grew up building this house and built a freaking literal foundation, a family foundation. And they all grew up together and had parties out there and did everything. And I was telling him, like, my parents split when I was 3. My family was yelling at each other when I was at a very young age. My sisters had to take care of me. It was just a shit show, you know. My mom was, I'm not gonna say this, but my mom was dealing with her own stuff, and everybody was very distraught growing up. Add on top of that just a little bit, Katy is not a place to raise your kids. Maybe it is now. Maybe it is now because it's got the.
We lived. I don't know. I don't even know where you live, but
Yeah.
no, keep going.
And so now it has like indoor climbing. It's got a water park. But when I grew up, there was nothing. The only thing that you could do is what I had. Luckily, and I will say, I'm trying to be gracious about this, is that I had a neighborhood park, and we'd go play football, and we'd go play basketball, and we'd go do this stuff. But I was in a bad neighborhood. When Hurricane Katrina or Ike, I think it was one of the big hurricanes, it pushed a bunch of riffraff into our neighborhood. There was
like trash, not like people. Riffraff.
No, people.
Oh,
bad people.
like looting and stuff.
No. They moved to our neighborhood, and there were a bunch of drug dealers from Louisiana that moved to our neighborhood because it was kind of cheap. I mean, every single other house was just.
What neighborhood? You remember it? I know where I lived.
I know the name of the street that I lived in. I don't. Oh, Parish. It was called the Parish. 99 in France.
I lived off of 99 Grand Parkway. Then it's that Kroger. It was called Falcon Point, the Meadows.
You lived on the south side of I-10. I lived on the north side. But either way, this is before.
But you're not wrong though. Like when growing up, like there was nothing to do in Keating.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I was just like, why did we move out here?
So Harris, my cousin, who I was talking to about this, I was depressed at the time. I had just been through some major thing that happened in my life. When we talk about that today, is that I was telling him, I was like, he was like, why are you depressed? Why are you acting this way? And I'm like, you just don't get it. You had life, good for you. I'm glad for you, but you cannot comprehend the sadness and the distraught that was brought to my family when they split, and we had to figure out all these things. I had to wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning just to go to elementary school because my parents lived in two different places. It was just it was a bad thing. And so, anyways, I don't know how I got here.
No, I get you. Actually, I really don't remember. But it was good. It was good what you just said. Like that's like that stuff that people need to unpack. You need to say that.
What were we mentioning before this? You were talking about something negative, and you were like, I don't want to be bad about this, but this is just how my life was. Anyways, the point, the neighbors.
The neighbors.
And so I wanted to say this is that how do we turn it in a positive direction?
The neighbor thing?
We're talking about trying to think positively, thinking in the right.
No, I'm just retaliating.
One is that
I'm retaliating.
I had the hippopotamus joke that came out of it. I think it's like, what the fuck are you doing up there? Huh? There's probably a million comedians that have done this bit before, but I mean, there has to be something positive. I mean, it's a conversation starter with every time we have people over to your house.
I mean, literally, like every conversation started, like, hey guys, like it's never boring here because you hear all that. It's like a fucking rave going on upstairs, you know. No, like I literally the weekend I moved in, like I had to. It was so bad to say something right away, and I not even to the apartment. I wrote them 3 notes, and I'm just like, I hope it's getting across. And then when it's
trying to be civil about it.
Like I was, hey, like I just moved in.
You couldn't even sleep.
Yeah, I know. They woke me up a few times, and I was like, I just moved in. I can hear you all the time. Like, just being aware. I know, like, it sounds like you have a kid, but you know, I work from home most of the time. Can you please be quiet? And didn't stop. And then I did the office involved, and it took several times. But then eventually, I had to like literally record them for like an hour, send several like voice messages, and go there and play it for them, and be like, this is how it sounds like. Don't listen to it on a shitty little like speaker on your laptop. Plug in headphones or put it on a loudspeaker. This is how it sounds like in my apartment. And then somehow it stopped for like 3 months. And then just recently, like the beginning of the year, they started up again.
At least you got the 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah, like
stop at 10 o'clock.
But also, whenever they're loud, like during the day, like if I just blare music, they'll stop. I know they do. They're like, oh, we're being too loud.
I don't know if we talked about this, but I've been thinking about it in my life is pettiness.
I don't know if that's petty though. That's just me being no, because I literally like knocked on the roof and they don't do anything. So like if I am just as loud, it's just like, okay, we need to shut up.
I understand that that's the solution in my mind.
Because it works. It works.
Right, exactly. You start playing music and then they're like, okay, we need to turn it down. Maybe it is
not even turn it down. You mean we need to be like my son's being too loud.
Yeah.
Literally like you think that's bad? I literally heard him go like on like for nonstop for like 30 minutes, like this, literally for 30 minutes.
I don't know, but really what I wanted to say is that I realize I'm petty. I am petty. And it's in my DNA. It's in my something or whatever, my character, because what happens is sometimes I'll be on the phone with like customers.
This is perfect. This is what I want to talk about. Introspection of ourselves. This is literally, Jimmy, this is like we were talking about in the car earlier today. You are aware of like your fault. Everyone has faults, right? I have faults. I know, like you're saying, I can be a bit of a hardhead, stubborn, want to be. I don't know if it's want to be right, but it kind of is because I'm like I'm always right.
No, you think that you're right, and so you defend that, but to a fault.
I mean, with especially with you, but like, I think it's really it's like we do just we have to disagree to agree.
Not a major fault. Not a major fault that's detrimental to who you are. Yeah. Granted, I do think that you could be more a little bit open-minded about things and consider them, but not to a point that's going to make a difference.
My mom would say terco, meaning stubborn in Spanish.
And the reason why I am the way that you're saying is because for most people, when they get upset about something, I don't honestly think that they're smart enough to ask why. You know? I think most people just get upset and they're like, well.
Yeah, people don't even understand their own emotion. It's like,
they'll just go, this will reside eventually. Instead, what you need to be like is, why do I feel this way? To then not feel that way in the future. They're just thinking, oh, okay, it'll go away. And then, you know, that's just how life works. But I think smart individuals realize that I have to figure out why I'm feeling this way. If it's a bad feeling, I need to figure it out. Granted, I cannot just put a Band-Aid on it and fix it. No, that's not how feelings work. The way that your emotions are and the way that you act within the world is it's just gradual. It takes time.
You know, it's cracking the onion. Like ogres are like even though he says ogres are like onion, it's not really like that.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you stupid, annoying donkey.
Yeah.
It's an onion. Ogres are like onions because we have layers. But really, it's
Oh, you mean you're smelly and you're
yeah. He's like, you smelly. He's like, no one likes you and you're gross. He's like, oh, you like don't get it.
don't get it.
But really, that's literally that's what it is. We humans are we have layers which are like onions. And Mark Mann talks about in this book. It's called us like it's not a chapter, but it's a segment. It's a chapter called us self-awareness onion. So like, the first layer of the onion is the ability to identify your emotions, like understand when you're happy, when you're sad, when you're angry. The second layer is your ability to ask yourself, why am I mad? Why am I sad? Why do I feel this way? And you dig deeper into like the real causes of that emotion, like why you're feeling that way. And the third and the most important layer is like your ability to evaluate your emotion from like your personal values. Like the reason why you're feeling the way you are is because it's affecting some personal values. So like for example, it's like why do I care about this? And what does it mean in the grand scheme of my life? Like for example, good example would be like um, maybe give me an example, Jimmy. Like
Why do you care about this podcast?
why do I why do I care so deeply about this podcast? Because like I feel like I'm a very candid person. Like you ask me something, I'll tell you like the truth, no matter if you're like best friend that I've known for 10 years or a stranger on the streets. I'll be like, like, hey, you cut me in line. I think you're an asshole. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, go ahead. No, I don't know. But I don't, well, okay, that's a bad example. But more like if a stranger was asking me like, it's like, hey, are you okay? And I'll be like, I had the worst day of my life. I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm fine. I would, yeah. And that's part of what this part of it is. Like when I have strangers on, I want to be able to have like super candid conversation with people. 'Cause I think that's what we're losing as a society. We're so almost not addicted to our phones, but like closed off now. We have like all these walls
You
up.
got your box around you.
Yeah, a box now that like
Oh,
we
you got
don't,
your
and like it's not just because of like we're trying to like not care about the people, but like it's also because we're anxious. We're more anxious now than ever because we're just more aware.
And there is the out of what you were saying. There is that escape. We have an escape at every exit. We don't have to pay attention to people because we can put our headphones in, we can look at our phone, we can be in our car, we can do this stuff. We don't have to look at another individual's eyes throughout the entire day.
We
Doesn't
don't even
matter.
have to like leave the house anymore. Like if
Yep.
you have Amazon, just like that, yeah, you get all your stuff that you need when you want it from delivered. If you want groceries, you get freaking here in Texas, you get HEB to like deliver it to your door.
And this is part of why I'm writing what I'm writing is because it's just like
Yeah.
it's acceptable nowadays to be kind of a shit box, to just be a shitty boxed in person. And it's a different thing if you have social anxiety and if you're, really actually fearful of the world. That's a different thing. I'm okay with that. But most of those people, when they're out and about, they still say thank you. They still open the door. They do that type of stuff because they're a good person. I think with what's an issue with the world right now is that the bad people are okay with being bad in public and they get away with it because good people don't want to say, hey, fuck you.
Well, not only that, but like now, the president that we have,
Yep.
it's just allowing that. Like whenever, if y'all remember his first term, like, come on, you're gonna tell me people want ruder
Pussy.
and like more racist? Then it was more like acceptably like, oh, if he's president, we can do whatever the hell we want to do. Woohoo!
Well, and so this is part, and
now just going back to that.
I'm gonna selfishly plug this is I'm writing a book about being good. I think part of one of my points is it's just like I think the capitalist behavior was essential when it was brought about. Fighting for your own, being the top of the pack and just, not thinking about anybody just so you can get ahead. We're so far advanced from that. We're so beyond that that the capitalistic behavior is an issue. What you're seeing is people say, I'm going to step on your back to get above, and it's not necessary anymore. And so now you're just seeing people being blatantly, Nancy Pelosi is a good one. Like was a she was a politician and she was doing inside trades. It's just like can't publicly. That was literally a law, and it's allowed. It's okay. And we're just seeing everything. Trump is a felon, technically, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, the courts
Or you can't.
deemed him innocent, but he had to pay a fine.
But thought in the past you weren't allowed to be even tried as a felon.
Yeah, like I don't know how. Like yeah, if you were even a felony, like you can't even run, but somehow like
That's what I'm saying. We're so
the system is broken. We talked about this like a while ago. This is like becoming
no,
Joe.
no, no,
This is
no.
becoming the Joe Rogan experience.
Anyways, but
Everything's chaos. We're living in a simulation. Bro. It's like we're all taking the blue pill, bro.
to bring it back to what we were talking about before is uh, analyze. You can't do anything about what's happening in the world. Maybe you can. We'll have a different discussion about that. But you can do what's going on inside yourself and start to analyze what's going on and try and figure it out.
Yes, you can just be. All you can do is spread kindness. I checked in with my friends after. I was like, "Hey, just no, I'm here. Just all I can do is, like we just have to hope for the best."
Tell the story about the phone that you found.
Oh, but that wasn't before. That was just like I'll tell my neighbor. Like literally, this is another inspiration why I'm doing this. Shout out to Ashley, my neighbor. I don't know her last name, but she's has her own podcast called Scandalous, where she interviews mostly heavy metal rock bands, artists, or not well bands slash artists, band members, and yeah, and she's killing it, and I'm hoping to get on her level at least. So wait, well, the point of being kindness is like when I moved in right away, like she was like, "Hi, like I'm Ashley. I just wanted to let you know, like I want to be respectful, but my dogs are like mean dogs and they don't like other dogs." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. My dog loves other dogs, but she's timid, so like thank you for telling me that." And then like one day she was like, "If you ever need anything, please let me know." And then one day I got locked out of my apartment, which started the whole cause of us becoming like friends. Like I got locked out and like I don't know how to get back in. I don't even have my phone. Can you please like help me out? And then she sat with me for a whole hour and we just talked about like right away we talked about like we only want to say with strangers. We immediately like talked about like deep stuff like what I was going through at the time and what she was going through and it was a lot of like stuff we unpacked. And, from then, we started helping each other more and more and more and then now we're like I feel like we really are officially friends and it's crazy. That's just like what I'm saying. Spread kindness that way.
Well, what I was saying is that the story that you had earlier.
That's a good one, but I'm just saying that's one way. Like that's how you just become, be back to like what I'm saying, be more neighbor. Like we need people like, well, not to brag about stuff. Like everyone, like we need to be more neighborly. Like even if you live in apartments, be more neighborly. Know your neighbors.
And so what I was going to say is that to that point, and I'm pretty, I'm anxious about social event, even though if you know me and if you know me, I'm pretty loud and I can speak my mind very accurately and everything like that. But I realized that I wasn't going out of my way and talking to people, random people, you know what I mean? And just saying, "Hey, what's up? What's going on? Whatever you're doing." It opens so many doors, so many. You never know if that one thing that you were looking for, let's say you're going out to try and buy a camera or something like that. If you had just talked to 100 people just out of, at the grocery store, at the gas station, "Hey, what's going on? I like that shirt," whatever. They have stuff out there that you're looking for. And it's just, it really just,
Even that girl at the Best Buy, we made her laugh.
yep.
Being nice to her.
She enjoyed her day and she gave us her time because, yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to quote him wrong, but what Robin Williams said, like, keep on, keep talking. No, go, keep going. He's talking about like what we shouldn't do, like talking about the best girl, bad girl.
No, I mean, really, to my point is that I have this thought, and part of my mentality is because of what I was saying before is I'm a cynic. I automatically assume rejection. Instead, I need to just assume good things. Now, I will say that given the current state in the world and what we were talking about before, yeah, you're probably going to get rejected 8 times out of 10, but the 2 times really are worth it. And one thing I would have to say is that there's a comedy bit that I really love. It's one of my favorite comedy bits. He talks about how his dad's so outgoing and that he's not so outgoing, and that his dad's an intelligent individual, but every time he walks into any room, he's like, "Hey, what's up? What's going on?" And it just opens doors for him. And so one time they were at the DPS and there was a really long line, and he walks up to the lady behind the counter. He knew the lady behind the counter. "What's up, Gladys?" And she goes, "Oh, no, it just poured down snow recently." And he goes, "Yeah." And she goes, "Yeah, and we got 8 inches." And he goes, "Don't you wish, Gladys?" Get it? No? She goes, "We got 8 inches." And he goes, "Oh, don't you wish?" And then he got put to the front of the line. And it really is that mentality of just like, just be happy-go-lucky, have that childlike mentality. That's one thing that I really need to get back to. I used to be super childlike and skip down the aisle and stuff.
Yeah, that's like the whole like one of the other things I told people is like the goal when it comes to like marriage or finding your soulmate, your partner in life. The point of it is to not find someone to grow old with, but find someone to be a kid with. They were made a kid with. But like going back to what the Rollin quotes is, like what we do just to spread kindness is one of his really good quotes is, I don't know how much value I have in this universe, but I do know that I have made a few people happier than they would have been without me. And as long as I know that, I'm as rich as I ever need to be. Like stuff like that. Like just it's so beautiful, man. Anyways, to the point, wrapping things up.
That goes back to what we've kind of had the mantra of this entire time is just being selfless. In that karma that you were speaking before is like, you never know what someone's going through, but if you always try and help others, you will receive that positive karma, even though given that current state.
Yeah, even like you can say it's karma. You can just I say like it's always just we are always choosing what to like feel, accept about anything.
And
Like
but
I can choose to be upset if someone cuts me off. I can choose to upset if like I lose something. I can choose to be happy if like I get bad news. Was like oh I don't know. Like look at the positive thing.
I do want to say one last thing is that I think it's because we're all in our own box. We're all in our own bubble. And the immediate gratification of things is that I don't have to worry about you right now because it's going to give me immediate gratification and I don't have to worry about it. But if you were to be nice every single time, it is hard work. It does take some time, but eventually you get people like Danny, where you have really good friends. You put your work into it, you be nice to them, and you're trying to be friends. And it's truth. I mean, I wouldn't have you here today if I didn't try and be nice to you, right? And I wouldn't be here if you didn't put your best effort.
That's so true. I mean, it's not like I tried to be like I had to try to be nice to you. I just am just generally like,
but
I love you, man.
People out there that sometimes maybe you're a little bit aggravated, maybe you're a little bit annoyed at that day, and someone comes up to you in the line at HEB, and you're like, get out of my way, or something.
Yeah, but you don't know what. Yeah, exactly. You don't know what they're going through. Anyways, our of like so this is official wrapping it up. This podcast, common side effects of life. The other podcast that to plug it in, we're gonna do together is gonna be called
Pfizer's. I'm gonna have to actually Google whether or not I can use that.
That's a good name.
I used to say it when I was young, and I think it actually came from my dad. I think he used to be like, let's sit down and philosophize. I've also heard it multiple times. Anyways, the point of it is that we're talking about serious stuff, kind of like we're talking about right now,
but more funny, more in the flow, like not structured. Really, like it's gonna be like show up and be like, "Hey, man, I haven't seen you in a while. Like, how's it going?"
We're gonna talk about our life and whether or not you care, I don't care. But like I said earlier, the point of it was to be able to come into town, to be able to hang out with one of my best friends.
And yeah, so future, I appreciate that, man. Me too. I mean, it's another excuse, an excuse to hang out with like some of my friends or make new friends, family members. Really dive into them. Future plans for this podcast, I guess, too, is like discuss a lot of things. I want to discuss like really in depth. Like, if when I finish this book, I read really fast. When these books, yeah, not the dad joke because that's for me more to like be more funny. But yeah, green lights. I have this other book I'm reading right now called AI, how it teaches us to be the more yeah to be how it teaches us to be more human by Brain Crash. The other one called the Integral Vision. Um, I want to talk about this Mark Manson's book, sort of Art of Not Getting Fucked. I freaking will. I can talk for hours and hours about that book and like how it really. I think it really changed my life. Talk about even like TV show episodes, movies. I love my favorite movie. Honestly, one of my favorite movies is Her by Spike Bones with. Bro, we can watch it tonight. I totally if you down to watch it, I don't care if we stay up late. I want to show you that movie, and you will literally be like, "Holy shit, dude!" Like
Maybe.
it's fucking. It's almost like
we're still.
yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah, things like that. Just like a lot to discuss. Bring on future guests. Hopefully, the next guest I have is almost as amazing as Jimmy is. I don't know yet. Just whoever's available.
Okay, they're not gonna be as amazing.
Yeah, hopefully they won't be. They won't be. They can only try. They can only try to reach your pedestal that Jimmy's on.
What I'm saying is that if you don't know who they are, most likely they're not gonna be like. All of our friends are pretty good people.
Yeah, we love our friends. Our friends are amazing. They're family. So yeah, please follow, subscribe. We're going to what's we gonna do? I need to create a YouTube channel for this still, a website.
Put this on in the background and go wash some dishes. Maybe go
or if you
walk
work
your dog.
if you work remotely, you know, you can. I listen to podcasts. That's how I listen. I wanted to start this too. Like I listen to several podcasts. The Two Bears One Cave. I don't want to plug in all of.
Oh,
we're both single.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
this man's always trying to get me.
I'm trying to plug him. That's what I'm doing. This is his
podcast. My social media page that I'm making for everyone is called El Parcero _ Danny C. I will provide it in the link below. But till next time, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. We did it. We fucking made it. Look at us. Look at us, Jimmy.
Look at us.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Who would have ever thought? Not my
Cheers. Cheers.